Episode 472 of the show. Got no water.
Sure?
I think I'm sure. Let me get water.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay, there it is, I think.
I had to wipe my system like 4 times this week. Yeah, we'll talk about that. That was fun.
That does not sound fun. I know you don't mean that in the true sense, but...
A little bit. It's been fun a little bit. So here's a question for you. What's your goal for this episode, Daniela?
To not have to miss a week of not recording.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You know what? That was one of my mini goals for this episode. One of the things that I want to do, episode 472 of the show radio. I'm your host, Andrew.
Hey guys, I'm Danny.
And this is your source for tech, gaming, and entertainment news. Head over to theshowradio.info/listen. theshowradio.info/listen. Let us know where you're listening from. Use the hashtag TSRPod. Once again, that's TSRPod. Check in with us. Let us know where you're listening from. This particular episode, I definitely want to do, be more mindful of like the conversation flow for, and also other episodes as well. I think I want to be better about that. Sound check earlier because I was doing my sound check too late, especially with all the PC stuff that I've been going through this week. Keyboard is not working, so I have to use an external keyboard right now. So little things like that, just to be more mindful of that. What's going on in your world right now?
I woke up 30 minutes ago.
Okay.
I literally did. I mean, I was like that lazy, and I don't know. I wasn't too worried about it. I had a lot of the stuff pretty much set up last night. So I'm like, okay, I just got to load it up. Be good. Not a big problem. But I'm awake enough.
You're awake?
Yeah.
Did you drink coffee, tea, anything? Did you eat?
No, nothing. I didn't eat.
I'm not
a big like wake up and eat type of person. Like I have to be up for a couple hours before I'm like, okay, I'm ready to eat. I'm hungry now. Like if I try to eat something, even if it's a small snack, like a banana or some nuts, something super light, it's like it makes me feel sick. Like, okay, my body's not ready to process any foods. Drinking is fine. I'll drink some juice, tea, coffee, whatever it is. Eating is just like a no-go from when if I just woke up. Like, give me 2-3 hours and then I'll be ready to eat.
Has it always been like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just not that big thing. So probably after this, I'll probably grab something to eat and I'll be good for the rest of the day. I have water.
Okay. Sweet. So let me tell you what happened, right? So I don't know if I touched on episode 471, but definitely make sure you listen to that. Podcast listeners as well as video peeps. Thanks for joining us and hanging out with us on episode 472. So last week sometime, maybe a little bit prior, I don't know. It's just been crazy. So my laptop has been like automatically activating the Bluetooth by itself and then raising my volume like up and down and then cutting off the Wi-Fi and then cutting it back on. Right. So I was like, am I being hacked? Like, this is weird because I've never really experienced anything like that with this particular laptop. So this one is an older Origin X7200. I think it's called Clevo X7200. And basically it has a touch panel for the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, the volume slider, or touch panels above the keyboard, right? So even as I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, so for future reference, I'm going to note that I'm not going to get a laptop that has touch panels because if it's going to wig out like that over time, over the years, then it's not something that I'm going to consider. But anyway, so it was doing all that. So I was like, did I do something wrong? What's going on or whatever? But I noticed that it only happened when the Bluetooth was activated and then the Wi-Fi went off and all that stuff. So I was like, all right, so I'll call my buddy Joey, the tech guy, our friend here. So I was like, bro, I said, I need you to look at this thing because it's wigging out. So if you remove so this is logical for me. I try to look at it from a logical perspective before anything else. I said, I think if you remove the Bluetooth console or controller, whatever you want to call that thing, I may not have that problem anymore. So we try to solve it by getting an external Wi-Fi card, but even recognizing the external Wi-Fi card along with the internal Wi-Fi card, it was still doing the same thing. I said, all right, I think that if we remove the Bluetooth controller, it should stop. So, I went over, hung out with him for a little bit. Then he removed the Bluetooth controller and he disabled the panel. But what happens is when you disable the panel, there's no way to turn the Wi-Fi back on, right, via the touch panel. So what you have to do is you have to press function F11, and that will activate the Wi-Fi as if you were hitting the touch panel when it's active, right? So I had to Google that to figure that out. So if we didn't Google that, I would not be able to record today, right? Because the whole thing was if the Bluetooth controller or whatever was causing that in and out doesn't get resolved by today, then there's no show this Friday because my Wi-Fi would be going in and out and Daniela would probably have to do the show by herself. So I was like,
no,
why not? You've done it by yourself before.
I know, but it's so sad and lonely.
Aww.
Like, haven't you heard one is the loneliest number?
That's what I heard. That's what I heard. So essentially that's where we are now. So we took out the Bluetooth controller. We put the panel back in, but the panel is currently disabled. So the internal Wi-Fi is working just fine, which I was able to probably install, like I was telling you before we started recording. I think I did maybe 3 or 4 different Ubuntu installations because I just love installing Ubuntu or any Linux thing because it's so fast. You can do it pretty quickly. And it's bad when I go to Windows one time this week. It was bad. I was like, maybe the issues will go away if I install Windows. And I tried it and it was the same issue. So I said, so it's not Windows. It's not 3 or 4 Linux distributions. I tried Ubuntu, Xubuntu, Lubuntu. I almost tried Manjaro. I did try Elementary OS. I was going all over the place just to see if it was like a software issue to find out it was a hardware issue. So overall, we're using an external keyboard right now because after the keyboard was reinstalled, my W doesn't work, which is interesting because that is never mind. I'll tell you that offline. So I'm using an external keyboard, and we ordered a new keyboard for the unit, the machine, and yeah, that's where we are present day. So external keyboard, everything is running well, running Ubuntu, the latest long-term edition version, so LTS. So it's running really, really well. Got all my stuff pretty much situated. OBS is running. Discord's fine. VLC's back, and I installed that. KDN Live is the video editor that I use. Audacity as well is the audio stuff. So most of my stuff is back. All my stuff is backed up on a USB. And so that was it. That was the last couple of days.
That's stressful. That's not fun at all.
It wasn't fun until we narrowed down what it was, right? So my thing was, it can't be a big deal because it's only related to the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi. We could replace those components. So once we realized what it was, and I was like, oh, let me try different Linux versions to see if I like them. But I ended up coming back to the one I've been using, which is Ubuntu. So
at least you're here. We're both here.
We're both here.
Making this happen.
Because one is a lonely number.
It is.
Yes. So yeah. So that's where we are with that. Any stuff that you got going on? I know you got party fiesta stuff going on your side. So what's going?
Yeah, we have a 1950s themed birthday party / family reunion surprise for my grandmother this evening. Yeah, it's like squirrels in a wave. Like all this week, all this time leading up to today, I've been asking, my family, like, what do you need me to do? Because they're all flying in and they're coordinating it and planning it in the mainland. So since I'm here, I'm like, hey, is there anything you want me to do? I would send these like little messages, and it's always like, oh, it's fine. Oh, we got this. Oh, we don't need this. I'm like, okay. It's like, oh, if we need you, we'll give you a call. I'm like, okay. Well, I have all of Friday off. And I'm like, I'm taking off work early on Thursday. I mean, if you need anything, just let me know. Absolutely nothing. I get to asking them, okay, what time are we setting up tonight? Like, because it's a whole theme thing. We have the Veteran Center, which is a really pretty big area to be renting out, and they're going to set it up and have all these things. And I figured, I'm like, okay, there's going to be a lot of decorations. It's going to be a lot of things. They tell me 5 p.m. Like the initial time they told me was 5 p.m. I'm like, 5 p.m. What time is dinner?
Right.
6. They're like, wait, less than an hour to set up everything?
Right.
Oh, well, we want it to be a surprise. We don't want her to think it's, anything crazy. I'm like, well, okay, but you have this like team of people here to help put this together because we all took off on Friday. Like, she's not going to notice that the people that's not staying with her in her house are there.
Right.
Setting up this whole thing. So why would you wait an hour? And I think it's more of like a control thing because my aunt who is like who didn't get a hotel, she's staying at my grandma's house. She wants to be able to see where everything is going and how it's putting together. So she only can give herself like an hour. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. You should rethink this. And I think that's what it kind of is. It's just like, okay, whenever we get a chance, we're just gonna go over there and do this. I'm like, what time's that gonna be? Don't tell me 4, because even then 2 hours isn't really a whole lot of time to set up, to decorate. And then it was like, what time are the caterers coming?
Right.
So I don't even think that I didn't even get an answer for that. So I don't even think they really thought about that part yet. I'm like, 7 months of planning and it's all down to this right now.
So
I will be here.
So you have an angel in your room, by the way.
The sun is just bright.
Lovely. Lovely. So everybody's settled though? Everybody's in town? Nobody else is traveling, heading your way?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think the final number of people is somewhere in the 90s, give or take. And then there's some, like, they already planned it for the people who just forgot to RSVP that plans on showing up. I think somewhere around 200 invitations were sent out or something like that.
Okay.
And some of them were just kind of sent out. We knew that they weren't going to be there kind of thing, but just to be nice so they feel included. But
that's a lot of people though.
You think so?
90 is a good number. 90 in the spot is a lot of folks.
I guess I consider it kind of small. Like I kind of consider that a small family thing. I mean, I think it's a lot, but I mean, my first birthday party had 400 plus people. My son's first birthday party had somewhere around 300.
Yeah, your family is like huge.
But those are like big occasions. This is a big occasion too, but I don't know. Okay. I think it's a small gathering, which is great because my boyfriend has not met anybody in my family except for my sister. So I'm just going to throw him into there. Like, right. Here's my family. Go and explore.
Go explore the 90 plus people that are here. That's intense. Okay, that's sweet. So I hope you have a great time. Would love to hear the update after that, after it's all said and done and everybody has a good time, creates the memories. I'm looking forward to hearing the details on that. A couple of things, episode 472. I believe, Daniela, this is probably the shorter episodes that we've done in a long, long time. Because the news cycle, there's always news. You know, people say, well, there's not a lot to cover this week or whatever. But I believe there's always news to cover. It depends on what you want to cover for that particular stuff. A couple of things that I want to mention to you guys on this episode, is Spotify. Some of the Spotify changes that helps you distribute your content. I definitely want to talk about that. Project Stream, the Google stuff, November PS Plus, Harry Potter news, Nintendo news as far as Switch is concerned. Toys R Us is not going anywhere yet. And a couple of things here and there as we have conversation about things that pop up in our minds as we go through episode 472. Any thoughts, Daniela, before we start?
I am ready.
Okay, so one of the first things I did see this week as it relates to the Wi-Fi, the next generation of Wi-Fi, they're going to call it Wi-Fi 6, which is interesting. It's not going to be like a 802.11 11, something, those things are still there. But in terms of a consistency, they actually went back and renamed Wi-Fi 5, which I believe is AC, and Wi-Fi 4, which is N. And then I think the new one is AX or something like that, which is a Wi-Fi 6, which I thought was really interesting as it relates to how they're going to categorize the Wi-Fi stuff going forward to make it easy for individuals to see the labeling and the branding for that on boxes and things like that. Any thoughts on that?
From the user standpoint, yeah, that kind of actually makes sense because a lot of people don't really pay attention to any of those standards. I mean, they don't like your typical user doesn't really care if their Wi-Fi is AC or G or N or whatever it is. They just want to know that their Wi-Fi works. Like they don't think about the numbers, they don't think about this stuff. This just overall simplifies it. And even from the IT perspective, I feel like the IT perspective, we're all like a little bit stubborn on wanting to change the way we like spent years learning and memorizing, especially because a lot of these were certifications. It's like you grilled it into your mind to know these things. I think eventually just having to remember like, oh, Wi-Fi 6 is now going to be the 802.11ax factor there and what 5 and 4 consists of. But if you're inside that field that you deal with customers and you do their setups and stuff like that, I think this just makes it so much easier for you to explain to them, because that's like they like I said, they don't care about the different like letters and numbers. They just want something, bam, it works, here you go. As long as your device supports Wi-Fi 6, easy for you to look up, really quick and short and simple.
Absolutely.
But then that means I got some more stuff I gotta go and study for next year on my certifications.
Word. No, I think it's going to be dope. And most of that stuff, personally, I don't pay attention to. Because my hardware tends to be older, right? Whether it's the router stuff, old PCs being used as servers and stuff like that. So my stuff tends to be older anyway. And if it has the capability to be plugged in with the RJ45 stuff, I rather do that through a workgroup switch than anything else. This particular situation is different for me for the PC that I'm using right now because the RJ45 port is not functioning the way it should. So I have to use Wi-Fi on this laptop. But over the last, I would say since March, April last year, give or take. I mean, most of the episodes we've done has been on this machine and it's been running really well just on Wi-Fi. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, not a lot of my stuff. My phone runs on it's purely Wi-Fi, but everything else is wired for me. But with this Wi-Fi 6, I don't know, these speeds look pretty good. I mean, it's going to be able to offer 8K streaming.
Love it.
I don't even have 4K, okay? I don't have 4K anything. And there's going to be an 8K already. I can't keep
just
up.
Bypass 4K, go straight to 8K. Might as well at this point.
Yeah, well, I don't even want to know what that says to my wallet.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. Google stuff. Google finally switched on Chromecast functionality in Google Podcasts. Now, we're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Acast, which is new. Acast. So definitely check us out there. I believe that's TSR Pod on Acast. So check that out. Google functionality as it relates to Google Podcast. I don't know about you, Daniela, push the casting stuff when I'm listening to podcasts. How do you listen to your pods?
Pocket Cast.
Okay. Do you cast it?
That's pretty much no.
Okay.
No. I don't. Most of the times I'm like on the go or I'm listening as I'm working. So I don't really just some earbuds directly to my phone.
Word.
I know it's really simple and really plain, but I don't know. It works for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I have the TV in the same room and my media room, and the thing is, even though I'm right next to the TV, like you're saying, I'd much rather just have the earbuds or some headset or whatever. But casting it to a TV at one point, I don't know if it's the same right now. When you cast it, you can't double the speed, right? So I would go from listening it at double 2.1 or whatever on the phone and then throwing it on the TV, then it's like, this is too slow for me right now. So I think they're trying to change that where you can listen to the pods at 2x when you cast it to whatever. But that would be a thing for me. If I ever did that, I would still need the 2x when I cast it. I know that Spotify does have 2x as native on their app. So if you're listening to any podcast there, you can listen to it at 2x. And there's browser extensions that can make your YouTube 2x, especially if the content is on YouTube as an interview, but yet that particular media outlet does not have a pod version of it. So I usually listen to some of those interviews at 2x on YouTube.
Why do you listen to it at 2x?
Because I want to get through content faster, and according to the percentage, I'm only retaining 30% anyway, right? For anything that I listen to. I think that was something I heard that somewhere on a podcast, that we retain 30% of what we listen to, whatever that is, right? So if I'm retaining 30%, whether I listen to it fast or not, I'd much rather retain 30% more because I'm listening to more content. So the more content I'm listening to, the more pods I listen to on a daily, if I'm only retaining 30% of that particular episode, if I knock out 16 to 18 episodes a day, that's a lot of content to retain, right? So it's so the speed of it is actually cutting out mostly the silence stuff, when people have long drawn out pauses. Like I take that out for the show when I'm editing the show. But if there's, I'm subscribed to maybe like 70 plus shows or whatever with different categories, and I want to listen to it as quickly as I can. Now, another thing that it did for me personally, is it conditioned me to already prepare my thoughts when I'm speaking to a human being, because human beings do not speak at 2x. So because I'm listening to stuff at 2x on a regular basis, I've conditioned my brain to already start mapping out what I'm going to say according to whatever conversation I'm engaged with an actual human being, IRL in front of me. So I think it helps you in that way. It's helped me, so when I'm listening to you speak to me, I kind of formulate as you're speaking, right? Not that you speak slow. It's just that we don't talk 2x. I'm not talking 2x right now, right? Unless you have me at 2x and I'm talking about, I'm doing that,
No.
right? But if I'm not doing that, right, then I'm at 1x and stuff like that. So I think it conditioned me personally to formulate my thoughts, be more intentional about what I'm saying, and preparing that so it sounds really, really nice according to the person listening to it and also the person I'm having a conversation with.
Speaking of listening, hey there, good morning, El Taco Justice. Good morning,
morning, bro. Yeah, so that's what's going on with that. Yeah, so that's why I listen to this stuff mostly at 2x. I think 3x is overkill because I still want to understand what I'm listening to in the process. So I think Twitch gives you the option to listen to stuff at 2x native, according to the video stuff. And most websites have that as a native. And if they don't, you can add it with an extension. Yeah. So that's what's going on with that. Big day, or big week, I should say, for the individuals who create content, and they want that content on Spotify. Previously, what was going on with Spotify is you would want to be on the platform. They would take a handful according to your podcasting host at the time, right? So we have Libsyn. So Libsyn was able to allow us to get into Spotify a little bit earlier, right? And I think that depending on the batch that they were doing, according to how many individuals they wanted to enter Spotify, they did that in batches or when they felt like it. So it seems, because we were really excited to be on the platform. So I think June was a good batch that they threw a lot of individuals in. But now they have a specific portal for you to just submit your RSS feed to them, because they apparently built the back end for that, where once you submit your RSS feed, then within hours, you're able to be on Spotify. I think that's big. Definitely hear your thoughts on that.
That's really cool. That's really awesome. They make it a bit more streamlined. I don't know. Like, I guess I don't want to come across as being an elitist. Like, I feel like they should still filter out, right? I mean, wouldn't they want certain type of podcasts on there? Like, they can't just accept any podcast. I mean, Like KKK can have a podcast if they really wanted to. I'm sure there are.
If KKK submits the RSS feed, then maybe within hours they have a pod, so according to the information that we have, we see the front end, we see that we're able to submit there, but we don't know if they have a review team specifically for that. We know that Apple does, right? They've had one for a long time, but I think it's exciting for those who are, but see, are you ready for that though? I think some individuals aren't.
Maybe I gotta.
Yeah. Like some individuals may not be ready for that because they still feel like they're in the initial stages of their pod, right? So are they ready for that distribution? Because now you're getting individuals from all over, and maybe you are ready for that, But I think that being on that scale, I believe it puts you in a particular space that you have to be even more careful, right, with what you say and being intentional about the content that you're delivering and the music that you're putting into your show, because certain platforms, it may be okay with grabbing whatever song you think is dope, that it's actually somebody's song and you want to put it because it sounds amazing because you love that particular singer-songwriter, but Spotify may not like that and you might get kicked out. Same thing for Apple. So they're really looking at that stuff closely, more so Apple. I don't know what Spotify is doing, but I definitely want to keep tabs on that.
Either way, it's still a really good path forward for a lot of podcasters, new and old.
Absolutely. So RSS feed, portal, Spotify has a website for that. That's going to be in the show notes. I think that's big for you. If you're creating a particular podcast and you're like, hey, how can I submit my show? Well, Spotify has that thing now. Apple Podcasts has had it for a long time as well. I think there was another thing I did see. Okay, so this is not in the notes, but while I have it in my mind, I want to share. So podcaster.apple.com. Podcaster.apple.com. That's not in the notes, but I need to put that in the notes. That's another website. That's obviously Apple, right? And basically what they're doing there is talking about common mistakes and giving you some tools to make your podcast better from a marketing standpoint, not production standpoint. So the production, that's on you. So they have that website, podcaster.apple.com. Check that out for them. And, it gives you some tips and tools and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was just thinking about that. Definitely want to share that.
I'm still working through that other site you sent to me last weekend. I spaced out on it.
The live stream, the podcast stuff?
Teaching. Yeah. I'm still working my way through that. But you know what else? I think that you do not have on here that's Google related is the fact that they're opening up signups for their Google Stream.
I do have it here.
You do? Where?
Scroll down.
Yeah. Oh, you have it down there.
I have it down there.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll wait for that down there. Never mind.
It's all good. It's there. It is. So podcaster.apple.com. Definitely check that out. You guys will be blessed by that for sure. So I think that's all we have for tech stuff right now. So there's definitely some value there. Any thoughts on that?
Going back to just the speed of talking and everything like that and social media. Yeah. Actually, I saw your Instagram post that actually kind of I thought was really, really sweet about you being nervous still of hitting that submit button because of, having problems with your speech and talking and English being your second language. I would have never guessed that English was your second language.
Yeah. So technically it isn't and it is because it's like I was born in the States, but I was going back and forth to school, to Haiti and back. And I think at one point I said in the particular post that it felt like there was 2 summers and 2 winters every single time because of just the way things were mapping out in my mind. But yeah, it's definitely a thing where, sitcoms like, Charles in Charge and Who's the Boss and Taxi, all those things, I was watching just to kind of understand, how people interacted. And I know that they were acting, but it helped me out a lot. It really did. But yeah, every single time I'm like, is this ready? Is it ever ready? So you got to hit publish.
Yeah, because English wasn't my second language, but then I guess proper English was. Because living here and growing up here, we have in Hawaii, it's called broken English, pidgin. And it's pretty much was a slang, and I believe it's now recognized as its own language. So I guess you could say I know two languages, which is really, really weird. But living here, I never thought about it when I was a kid. It's like you don't think about your speech, you don't think about how people are talking to you. It just all makes sense. Like you know what it means. When I moved to California at the ending of fourth grade, nobody could understand what I said, as if I was speaking some foreign language to them. And that blew my mind because I'm like, to me, I was like, I'm speaking English. But to everybody else, because this Hawaii slang and this pidgin of ours was so thick, it didn't come across as that. Like, that was frustrating. And that one hit home to me because when I moved to the mainland, I didn't know how to make any friends after that because they just made fun of me as if I was someone that was completely uneducated. And that was so hard to have to pretty much learn proper English. And it wasn't until I think maybe a year, maybe two, living in California, and I talked to a cousin who still lived here, and I was like, I get it. I can actually hear that tone and that difference. I mean, I know what you're saying, but I get it. Now I know why no one understood what I was saying. It was rough. And because of that, I understand why my family now didn't allow us to really speak pidgin in our households, because that was like a language barrier. So we had to speak proper English inside the house. There's no slang whatsoever. And when I say slang, I'm not like talking about like calling somebody a homie or just like any of those really lax things. It's just kind of, I feel it. I shouldn't be embarrassed by it, but I am embarrassed by it because it does kind of sound a little bit uneducated. Because when you're talking to somebody like, oh, guy, would you like to do that later? I'm like, what? So you're pretty much asking something like, hey, you want to go hang out later?
So it's intentional. It's intentional as far as it being broken.
Yes.
Okay.
But even, come on, when you're in school and your English teacher talks like that,
interesting.
It's a little bit of a problem. And it's really bad because there's kids, and I see it too, because my peers did it. They write how they speak, almost exactly. So when you want to, even though it's not proper English, when you want to say like that, you don't spell out two words like that. It's ladat, which is Lidat.
Wow.
And the speech, in a way, it's a little bit faster. So our speech is like that 2x because we're shortening words into 2-3 words into one word. So it comes out really quickly. And even now, even speaking proper English, I am told I speak too fast, period. So I have to just naturally just slow myself down overall.
Do you find yourself...
like, when I read your post, I got that. What?
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah, so like reading your post, I'm like, I relate with you.
Yeah.
I heart you, Andrew.
Aw, I heart you too. Yeah, so it's definitely been there were good days. Not every day was a bad day, right? But my thing is, one of the reasons I wanted to do the show the way I've done it, right, for so long before really getting looser in the last 2-3 years, right? So we're at 9, right? So the last 3-4 years, I've been a little looser in my vernacular than I have been when I first started recording back in 2009. It was more professional. And what's interesting even now is in the circles that we're in, I'm still considered a highly professional show versus some of the other shows that are out. I don't know if it's because of the content presentation or I don't know, but that's been a thing. It's been a thing because I wanted individuals who were my colleagues to really respect the work that we did. And even the people that were introduced to it through those colleagues, So it's the underdog narrative for me. It's always been like that. But I think we're in a good place.
I agree.
Yeah. So that's what's up with that. Tech news, entertainment news, Chronicles of Narnia movies and series coming Netflix. Daniela, what's up?
I love that. I like the Chronicle. Oh, I love the Chronicle of Narnia, because they're. I know I'm starting my own speech here. They're fun. They're lighthearted. They're family friendly. I just enjoy them. I enjoyed watching them with my son. So if they're coming out with a series, that's great. The other one that we like to watch too, which is family oriented, but it's kind of like a sad story, is the Limited Snickets series.
Okay.
The one with Neil Patrick Harris, and so it's like it's family friendly ish. It's a really sad story, but we love those types here, so I'm excited. But there's like a lot of things that I saw last night, this morning, that's on Netflix right now that I'm super like. A Wrinkle of Time.
That was dope.
I didn't get to watch that one yet. You watched it?
Yeah.
You probably haven't. Yeah, so I didn't get to watch it yet.
That's
I'm
dope.
super excited because I love that series or that book so much. A Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah, you've had it for a while, Daniela. Well, you know.
Well, I haven't been watching movies
Got
lately.
it.
That's the thing too. I've been watching TV series, which Netflix here. I actually watched through all of Ozarks last week.
Which one? What season?
Both seasons.
Oh my gosh!
Last
So you're
week.
ahead. You're ahead of me.
Really?
Yeah, but my girl Ruth though. Ruth.
Oh my goodness.
Ruth is the truth. Okay. That's probably my favorite character right now. I hope that stays that way and nothing crazy happened in season 2 that make me change. You know, Ruth is my fave.
Well, since I'm ahead of you, I'm not going to say anything.
Please tell me she didn't die.
She didn't die.
Are you being honest?
You just told me to tell you.
Yo, come on, man.
You have to watch it.
Yeah.
You have to watch it. But I'm glad that I toughed it through. Just like I said, like it was a little bit slow burn to me, but it did pick up, and I really, really liked it. That was like crazy. It was so good. It was enough that I binge watched it. So I'm there with it.
Word. I gotta catch up. And I gotta catch up to you now. Yeah. It's definitely good. It's definitely good. One of my favorite shows right now to date. You have House of Cards coming back, right? Then you have Daredevil coming back soon, right? Then you also have this show called Maniac I'm hearing a lot about.
Yeah, I was told to go and watch it. I haven't yet.
Right.
It looks interesting. It's on my list. It's on my list to watch. But like I said, I've been watching a lot of TV series rather than movies lately. Like I just finished like the 2 seasons of Van Helsing that's available on Netflix.
Oh, I didn't even know that was there. So you have that, and also this Ryan guy. What is it? Ryan something.
Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan. I want to see that. That's Prime, I believe.
Yeah, that was on Amazon. I watched all of that too.
Did you really?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Like, yeah.
That's what I said. Like, movies have not been on the table in a bit. I've been watching these series on everything. I'm trying to like play catch up with
Was it
everybody
good though?
because everybody keeps telling me.
Was Jack Ryan
yes,
good?
it was. It was really good. It was
A lot of
and
action?
that was kind of a bit of action.
Okay.
What is that actor's name? The one from the Office, John Krasinski.
Okay.
I wouldn't peg him to be like a really great serious actor, but he was awesome in it because I always see him as a comedic. I know he's done other serious roles, but I always see him as like, this comedian, this lighthearted, guy friend.
Right.
But to be put to the serious role, I think he did an amazing job, and it was a good series.
Okay. Fair enough. So I got to play some catch up. We have Plex is launching a new web shows feature, which enters public beta, and I think that's available right now. So if you're a big Plex person, I am. I'm a fan. I think I'm a super fan at this point. So I want to see what web shows specifically they have on that platform, and I know they announced that a little bit earlier this week. Thoughts on that?
I gotta go and dive into all of these different platforms are doing different things and offers other stuff than what they were generally there for.
Right.
And what I mean is like I use Plex to watch movies, to watch TV shows. But until I think the other day when you asked me to go check out last week's show, check out the podcast documentary.
Yeah.
I didn't really looking for a docuseries, even though it is technically, a film.
Yeah.
Or Spotify. Spotify I always go to for music. But I know it has podcasts, that's technically a service I already pay for. Yeah, see, I don't ever dive into those things. Like I think of like Pocket Casts is for podcasts. I'm going to use it for just podcasts. And I feel like if for whatever reason, if Pocket Casts ever opened up the option to have like albums on there or music, I wouldn't use it for that. I don't know what it is with me that once I use like a service that was originally built for something and something specifically, I always stick with that. But I'll go to another service that was created for whatever it is that they're offering now and stick with it. I don't know what it is. I got to dive into like looking at the different layers that all these different platforms are offering because I feel like I'm missing out.
Yeah. So feature to feature, when you look at Pocket Cast versus some of the other things that are out, Pocket Cast does it really, really well. So the only thing that would make me go to another platform is if those features match the fluidity of Pocket Cast as I'm going through the menus, consuming the content, downloading the content, adding them to queues, et cetera, et cetera. So Pocket Cast has done it really, really well. And we paid $3-4 for it or whatever, and it's still a solid. It's solid. It's a solid app for podcast listening and stuff. But there's a lot of companies that are doing their own app, but yet allowing you to check out all the other stuff that is out there. I think Acast has an app. Radio Public has their app. There's I can't think of the app that I was using the other day. It was 4.6 rated, and AntennaPod. AntennaPod is a dope app that's free, that's rated really high on the platform. And Amazon, not Amazon. Well, you can put your stuff on Amazon. Apple has their built-in app to the phones, right? So it's feature to feature for me. So if feature to feature Pocket Cast versus whatever, and it works, I'll test it out. Is it enough for me to switch over? Most of the time it's not. So, but Pocket Cast is a solid app.
Except that I should look into other things that I already pay for, like Spotify.
Yeah.
To listen to some stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Spotify is good for, I do not pay for any service for them right now, but in terms of listening to some pods that recently partnered with Spotify, and I have to go there to listen to their stuff, it works well. It works well, which is dope. So that's what's going on with that. Any other thoughts you have, definitely stop me at any time and let me know. Mega Man to become a live action movie. Any thoughts on that?
I think of a very action-packed Tron.
Okay. Which is dope.
That's what I think of. Like, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I can't picture a live action Mega Man without it being, I guess, cheesy. And I always think I'll revert to Tron, and that's probably like maybe the worst.
Right.
The worst example, but the closest for me, it's the closest example, because even though it's going to be live action, there's still going to be so much CG in it.
Yeah. That's not bad.
So, no, it's not. It's not. Like, I also think like a mixture between Tron meets Ready Player One.
Okay.
Without all the 80s references in there. Because I feel both of those movies worked out really well as far as being futuristic, gaming related, visually appealing. I don't know. I'm going to watch it. I know that.
Word. No, it's going to be dope. I was just looking at a particular link that I have, Initial D 2016. I thought that was live action, but that was anime. So I just wanted to double check that while you were giving us the Mega Man scoop. But yeah, anything that you saw in entertainment that you want to mention? Some things are considered entertainment to me this week, but they're really governmental stuff. So I'll just leave that out of this episode. But anything before we go on?
There is a live action Initial D. There is.
There is.
Yes, there is.
What year?
2013.
Okay, I have to look into that because
I think
I love. I don't know if there's been any other car anime series that really got me like they did.
I'm wrong. 2005.
2005.
Way off. 2005.
Okay.
Was there, but I probably didn't come stateside till much after that point because I don't think I watched the live action in 2005. But apparently that's when it originally came out.
Okay.
But that was actually pretty good. It wasn't bad. It was pretty good. I don't think it could have been done a whole lot worse, but I didn't mind.
Yeah, I like Initial D. I'm a big fan. So that's pretty much that rounds up entertainment news. Definitely want to give you the current sponsors for the show, ProXPN, which I love. I had to reset the stuff on my machine to re-add the ProXPN on my Ubuntu box, right? So I had to set that up, make sure all the stuff was lined up. I had to reinstall OpenVPN and all that stuff. But ProXPN is a free, easy-to-use VPN service that secures your internet connection against eavesdropping, masks your location, and allows you to access your favorite sites no matter where you live or travel to. To get 20% off your account, visit theshowradio.info/ProXPN and use the promo code SHORAM for 20% off the lifetime of your account. So I use that on a regular basis. I know how to usually go into that, part of it, but I use that on a regular basis. Like if I have to do anything that I feel will compromise my anonymity or privacy or security, whichever lines up correctly in the context of what I'm saying right now, I definitely use ProXPN for that. Do you, Daniela, use any VPN services right now or ever?
No, I do not.
Okay. Just cause or?
No, I'm just lazy.
Okay.
I'll just be honest. I'm like, I sat there hesitating. I'm like, how open and honest.
I love your honesty. I heart you.
I'm just going to say I'm lazy.
It's all good. The next one that we have is Blue Apron. Blue Apron makes cooking fun and easy. Blue Apron provides you with all the ingredients that you need to make a delicious meal in exactly the right proportions. To get $30 off of your first Blue Apron order, visit theshowradio.info/Blue Apron. That's what's going on with that. Next thing that we have on the list, which will round up episode 472, guys, gals, everyone. Thanks for listening to this episode. You can find all our episodes at theshowradio.info/listen. That will take you to the Spotify, the Google Podcast, the Apple Podcast, whichever one that you love as your favorite podcatcher. You can subscribe to the show that way. Video game news, Daniela. Before we head into that, any thoughts before we jump in?
I am ready.
You're ready. Okay, so I don't want to grow up. I am a Toys R Us kid. Okay, so I'm excited, happy that the brand isn't going away. So it was good to see that in particular news bit this week that they're going to try their best to keep the brand alive. And I think that's a great thing for individuals who grew up with the brand, for any brand that you love growing up with, not just, Toys R Us stuff. But I'm really stoked about that. Your thoughts on that?
I want to know what this means.
Okay.
About what they're going to be rebranding themselves as or repurposing.
Yeah,
not necessarily rebranding, because they're going to keep their image. They want to keep their names. They want to keep Jeffrey the giraffe. So what are they going to be repurposing the subs for and releasing as? Because right. I think it goes to show that when Toys R Us was closing, I cannot talk today. People went crazy.
Yeah.
They just bought and took everything they possibly can. Even things that weren't toys. I saw people who were just taking, the placard of Jeffrey the giraffe. Some of them were either just taking it and walking off, or some of them were paying for it. They were taking shelves. They took everything that they possibly could of the store. Yeah. I feel come on, when you close that many stores in the US and people go that crazy, somehow that must have at least helped with your debt a little bit. And maybe that saved them just enough where they're hey, wait, maybe we can do something else with this and work it out.
So it's a short post, so we can really go into it. There's a post on, let me make sure I'm getting this correctly, gamesindustry.biz, which links to the Reuters post, which is a 2-minute read. So the top lenders of Toys R Us have decided to cancel the bankruptcy auction of its brand name and other intellectual property assets, and instead plan to revive the Toys R Us and Babies R Us brand names, a court filing on Monday showed. And it goes on to say the bankrupt retailers' debtors aim to open a new Toys R Us and Babies R Us branding company that maintains existing global license agreements and can invest and develop new retail shops. I'm excited about that.
I am. Do you know how big of a comeback that would be?
It would be dope. It'd be dope if they do it right, especially with social media and how we market stuff today. It also goes into the lender also plans to expand its international presence and further develop its private brand business. So if it uses the social media and internet the way individuals should consider using the internet for their branding and marketing, I think that they can make it work.
I 100% believe that. I so hope so. They probably won't have nearly as many stores. If they do, they're going to go with the whole brick and mortar thing again. I don't think they're going to have as many locations, which is okay because it works for some companies and they thrive off of that. Like, for example, Fry's Electronics. I love Fry's, but they are the most, I wouldn't say exclusive, but the hardest to find storefronts. Like, they aren't just readily there. They have a huge online presence, but their physical stores is so few, but every time I find one, they're always so packed. And I love their storefronts. They're just crazy. I love them. So, it works for some companies and it probably could work for Toys R Us as well too.
Yeah. It's going to be cool to watch that happen, that comeback. That's going to be dope. CD Projekt Red says that Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment will be responsible for the distribution and promotion of Cyberpunk 2077 in North America and will bring the game to PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. Wow. I'll let you start with that one.
I'm excited. Just bring it to me already.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it's going to be it's probably going to be 2019, or at least I'm hoping it's 2019 because they haven't given an estimated date yet. They don't even think they even gave a quarter for whatever it's going to be releasing. But either way, I'm trying so hard, but you know what? I give up already. I'm trying not to overhype the game for myself because I know, it always happens. You have high expectations for any game and then it comes out and you're like, oh, because it doesn't meet this probably unrealistic hype that you gave it for waiting for so many years. But I can't help it. That's where I'm at with it. I just want it right now. I don't care who is in charge of marketing it. If all of they did was just put it on some street corner newsstand, I don't know, in Burbank, California. You know what? I am flying to Burbank, California. And I'm going to pick it up on that corner newsstand in Burbank.
Man.
That's how crazy I am about it. Not just overall, just the game.
It's exciting stuff because when they finally released that 49 plus minute presentation that was 10 minutes long, at least that's how it felt watching it. It was just wow, this is really, really dope. So I'm excited about the fact that they're moving forward with distribution. Warner Brothers is pretty dope as well. So if you have a name like Roadkill or something like Back That Thing 420, you know what I'm saying? If you have a weird name like that, there may be hope for you. Maybe. Because I think it's 12 years, maybe, that 12 years in to present day, they're now considering the potential opportunity for you to change your PSN names. Daniela, what's up with that?
Well, let's back it up. I like how you said that name. Let's literally back it up to Tri's question of what brand do you think might go the way of Toys R Us, meaning having to rebrand?
I would look at some of the sneaker companies. What's up, Try? Thanks for hanging out. Some of the sneaker companies that are actually making changes to get that shine again. We see that happening with K-Swiss right now. We see different partnerships with Puma. They're trying to get back in the game. Hopefully, the conversation doesn't go bankrupt first, then to try to rise like a phoenix kind of thing. But I think a lot of sneaker companies, Champion is making some changes. I guess as I'm thinking about that. So a lot of the individuals are that are clothing brands, fashion brands are either getting a dope spokesperson with a great YouTube following or whatever the case might be, entrepreneurship vibes, experience. Like when you look at Gary Vee with the K-Swiss partnership, and you look at, well, I don't think Spotify is in a bad place, but they're doing a lot of major partnership with individuals who are either in the rap industry or entertainment industry that making that crossover. So you have all these things for us to bring back to our remembrance how great these companies are and were, so they can put it in the forefront of our minds to consider getting them again in terms of buying from them, that kind of a thing. So I think a lot of the sneaker stuff, we see some recent purchases or acquisitions. I think Versace or something like that was one. Either it was acquired. I don't remember the exact article, but there was recent fashion acquisition in the last couple of weeks in the news. And you see the resurgence of, even some of the Reebok stuff coming out. Fila is great internationally, and I think that they're trying to make a push back into the States. One company that I used to wear their stuff, as I'm thinking, British Knights. I don't know if they're still a thing. They may be a thing internationally, but you may see companies like that make a nice, stylish return and resurgence in the States. So I would go with those things, thinking out loud.
I was kind of thinking how Troy was saying right there, Sears and JCPenney's, except I wasn't thinking of Sears and JCPenney. I was actually thinking about Circuit City, which I don't even remember the last time I was ever in a Circuit City. I actually had to go and Google if they even have a website still. And they do. They really, really do. I think with those brands like Toys R Us and Sears, JCPenney, Circuit City, what is it, Sports Authority?
Yeah.
They're all dominantly, brick and mortar stores.
Yeah.
And they didn't really adapt so well or changed or be innovative with how they were offering their online purchases so much.
Borders.
Which is what everybody goes to. That's why, Borders. Borders is another one. They have to start thinking outside of the box, like their marketing team, their business team. If there's a store that started off and just being a storefront and then how to adapt into this online world, it's like it's not just enough to just have like, hey, you can buy yourself online too. You have to be able to reach out to both, which sadly that means offering more stuff online and less storefronts, because everybody is like me and is lazy and doesn't want to leave the house.
Yeah.
I will leave a house for Circuit City though. I will leave a house for fries. I leave my house for electronics. I will not leave my house for clothing because I hate trying on clothes.
Yeah, and even with the shopping stuff, it's like, how do we shop now? Like the marketing budget that they're spending for like the Super Bowls and stuff like that we may not even pay attention to. As soon as we see a commercial pop up for the Super Bowl or any big event, we usually look down at our phones. So if companies that are big companies, like even like BMW and some of those other car companies, want to stay relevant as far as marketing and advertising is concerned, they really need to look at platforms that are pay to play, even like the Facebook platform. Although they recently had a security thing that happened a couple of days ago, when it comes to getting a good targeted audience for anything, Facebook is still if not the top 2 platforms to do that. So if you're BMW, or if you're a major car company, or if you're a brand that trying to get attention for a particular age group, demographic, spot in the world, and you're not using Facebook ads because you think it's not good, because it goes against your morals and values, you're losing out on that. So I think those companies that you mentioned, Try, as well as Daniela, the Sears, and the Borders, the Circuit Cities, and those guys and gals, if they don't really map to what's happening now, then it's not going to be good for them.
Mm-mm. They're all storefronts. I'm trying to think of something that isn't a storefront that recently had to close down. I'm trying to think of like websites.
Yeah, we'd have to look.
I can't think of one.
Recent.
I have to dig really deep into that one.
Shutdowns.
I wanna say that as far as website goes, and they don't have a storefront. Ones that offer, I can't think of them. I know there's a couple that had to shut down. The ones that offered some type of way of you being able to store your photos on their servers for backup.
Okay.
And also order prints. I know there were a couple that had to shut down, like over the last possibly like 3-4 years.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I mean, I think more so you have other services where you don't have to not necessarily have to upload your stuff to their things. It's like a temporary upload to get your stuff ordered.
Okay.
Whereas these services requires you to have it up there to be stored on there so that you can print from it. Where now it's like everybody, there's apps like on your phone right now that's like advertising for Instagram of like, hey, do you want to have like, your Instagram photo printed out so you can put it up on your wall? Well, here, you already have it uploaded there. We'll just take that file, print it out, and send it to you. There you go.
Yeah. I'm not coming
Flickr
up with anything.
is still up.
No, go ahead.
But Flickr is still up. That's still on there. I don't know if you could order photos. I have photos up on Flickr. But I hate that I have to use the Yahoo email because I can't remember that email.
Kodak, what's going on with them? Right? Because Instagram ate them alive. And I think Kodak, what's going on with them? I haven't seen anything.
Didn't they... aren't they the ones that have that, those instant pics thing?
Let's see.
I forgot what they're
You
called.
forgot?
I want one of those. I want one of those too, and I can't even think about it. Didn't they just kind of just went back to what their roots are and just...
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm thinking Polaroid things. Like Kodak.
Yeah, well, a lot of companies are doing going back to the roots thing because it just works. Like even streamlining things as it relates to video streaming and uploading giants like YouTube. I think they recently axed the YouTube gaming app, or they're planning to.
They did.
YouTube,
they removed that. They integrated it into the rest of their site because people weren't using the app that was solely for gaming purposes. So now they're just going to integrate that right back into like their overall basic platform.
Right. So there's a lot of changes, and then you have which wasn't necessarily part of our notes, but I did see it, Twitch and NFL stuff. That's becoming a thing of more of a thing as the season, I guess, ramps up. Heading into playoffs,
the Thursday night footballs or whatever they have in there. I think that's not so much, well, even though it's owned, like Amazon owns them, that's definitely like an Amazon feature because Amazon now has, right, so you can watch Thursday night footballs, I believe, on both Amazon and on Twitch. I think they made even their own channel, which I think is called Prime or something like that, twitch.tv sports. That's Prime or
nice.
Some URL. But like that's like a key feature for them.
Yeah. So there's those things.
You gotta change as quickly as you can and just go with it and be ahead of the game. Like I can only imagine how incredibly stressful and how much more demanding it is now to be on the business and marketing side of any company because you don't want to fall behind. But times, needs change at a snap of a finger.
Yeah, you're triggering different things in my brain. This show called The Daily by New York Times. I was just looking at, at the end of it, listening to it at 2x, you can still capture some stuff, right? At the end of most of that particular podcast, there's 14 individuals that produced that podcast. I thought that was interesting. Oh my goodness. Because they name at least 12 plus individuals for that particular podcast. And it's great. I love it. It's how I've been catching up most of the new stuff as of late. And if you're any media outlet and you do not have an outlet that is voice or video, you're like antiquated you know, dinosauric, and your approach,
Sorry.
it's not going to be good for you. Like even Instagram now, as you're posting stuff on Instagram, I'm trying to be more intentional on that platform. Social media stuff, specifically Twitter, I'm trying to be intentional on what I post there, and cleaning up that particular thing. If you have to tell your story, right? So my story is not Daniela's story, and vice versa. You have to tell your story, and how are individuals going to, embrace you if you're, somebody else. And companies that just have to be honest about what they're doing in terms of how they're going to pivot into new things, or, like the BuzzFeed stuff we just saw recently, right? They kill most of, if not all, the podcasting arm, because they thought it was only about generating dollars, but they had a whole bunch of talent that just left. So what's going to happen now? That particular group of talent, even when you look at the telltale things that just took place, where they were trying to hold a portion of the individuals to finish the stuff, but recent posts shows that they let everybody go now. So there's a lot going on.
That was a very loaded question, Try. Now we can come back to where we were. Changing PSN names.
Word. Yeah, and if you have more
12 years.
We're here. Because I thought 12 years. 12 years plus, PSN names, smoke a joint 420 187. If that's your PSN name, then you might have some hope. But yeah, if you have any thoughts or questions or anything like that, feel free to add them while we're here, because I think we have a little bit more time than we thought we did, especially recording this particular episode. That's why we're taking a little bit more license for tangents today than we usually do, which I like it. I think we should definitely do more of it. But PSN names, would you change your name, Daniela?
No. Although I would, not mine currently. I'm happy with Miss DJM. I made that when I was 20 something. I don't know. But if I had to keep the ones that I made if I was 14, yeah, like 100%. Like those are embarrassing. I'm like the PSN name that I had before, because when I first started like opening up and playing with Twitters, because I used to like go on Twitter. This is like back in 2008. Yeah, I want to say 2007, 2008 or something like that. Where, oh wow, never mind. I have to think about this, because that early in Twitter, you actually had to text in your tweets. I'm like totally dating myself there. I actually created 2 different PSN accounts. I had one that I played with family and friends that I knew offline, and then ones that, I don't know who you are. Why am I going to share this with you? So that's where Miss DJM came from. My first PSN was Drift Junkie SX, which had to do
cars
with my car. Yes,
Word.
It had to do 100% with cars, which isn't necessarily embarrassing, but like my friends and family know why I chose it. But it was such an ambiguous name that like nobody could tell. If you just read it, you would automatically assume that was a guy's gamer tag. You wouldn't think it was a woman's gamer tag. There was nothing that said that it was feminine whatsoever. So it's automatically, you're just going to think it's a dude. My problem was that anytime I was in a lobby, because back then everybody in the lobby had their mic on. Nobody was in some private party chat with their friends and not communicating with their team. Everybody was. And that's where it always came down. It's like, are you a 12-year-old boy? You must be a 12-year-old boy. You sound like one. Or I'm a girl. No, you're a 12-year-old boy. Okay. Or people that were, when I would reach out to like play to party up, and they like, just like some random, like, hey, this person's pretty cool to, play with. Let's just continue playing with this random. And then you finally turn your mic on. They're like, oh, you're a girl. And then like suddenly it just all of a sudden it changed. And you're like, man.
Do you still get that?
I hate it using mic. I don't know that really, but it's like at this point, I don't really have my mic on in public lobbies anymore. If I'm going to jump on a multiplayer, I just don't use a mic anymore. Or I'm playing, like if it's like a 4 or 5 player multiplayer game and I have like 1 or 2 other people playing with me, we don't have the whole lobby. We have our own private party going on, which is a bad thing because it leaves other 2-3 people that you're playing with that are randoms no communication, but pretty much where that's at.
But what about
I don't really get that as much.
Yeah, what about now though? Like when you're streaming, someone will come in and they'll try to be like buddy buddy with you on your stream and stuff like that. You still get those?
No, I don't get those. Not anymore. Because they come to my stream like, okay, you can tell that I'm a female. Good. It doesn't bother me anymore. I do like the last time I was harassed and I was like made fun of for being a girl on stream. It was like, I think it was on Gears. It was 100% on Gears. And I was having a really bad night that night. I wasn't playing so good. But it wasn't even in English. It was in Spanish. And I had to like read it out, I think, to my boyfriend. Like, what is this person saying to me? Right. Is it nice or is it bad? Or like, no, it's not nice. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
Word.
I don't really care. But if I had to choose anything else before that time frame, my mom chose my gamer tags or my usernames. Like my mom chose my AOL usernames. So we're not going to discuss that one. I would instantly change that the moment I could if I stuck with it.
Okay. Fair enough. It's not up for discussion.
But like, there's some people that they even now, the people who create usernames, like really, like I feel like more times it is grown adults that are making the most ridiculous usernames. Like I don't want to say them out loud, but like I'll see on Fortnite's, killboard, the most ridiculous, obscene names. I'm like, really? Like, I know it could be some teenage kid somewhere, but at the same time, it could also be some 20-something-year-old man that just like thought that's so funny.
Yeah. So what was the name though?
For who?
For you.
No, we're not going to talk about my mom chose my names as. They're embarrassing. Fair
enough. Yakuza Kiwami, Bulletstorm, November PS Plus, headliners. Daniela, what's up with that?
Really? I didn't even realize they announced the November PS Plus stuff already.
Yep.
October just started. We're only 5 days into October.
Yeah, they want you to be
probably because
top of mind.
this month's one was a little bit of a letdown. I don't really care for Bulletstorm. Still don't care for Bulletstorm, but Yakuza, will be my first experience to it. Be honest,
it's gonna be dope. Yeah, I'm a fan. So you have that. So definitely check those things out for November PS Plus. Okay, so you sent me a link earlier this week, and I was like, yo, what's going on? What is this? And then I pull up the link, and apparently it's related to Google's streaming thing. So talk a little bit about that, Daniela.
So Google's jumping into the whole streaming platforms and trying to combat, Twitch, Mixer, Facebook Gaming, and they're coming out with their thing, which is just called Project Stream. Very basic name. They're opening up the signups for, beta testing it. And this is supposed to be like the most streamlined, easy flow setup of being able to stream. You'll stream directly into your Chrome browser. Obviously, it has to be Chrome because it is Google.
Yep.
I don't think they're ever going to open that up. I'm like, yeah, you can use Internet Explorer or Firefox. They're marketing just their platform. But I think I missed it. I think to showcase this, Google partnered with Ubisoft for their Assassin's Creed Odyssey showcase of the streaming it through their browser. I don't know how that went. I didn't get to check it yet. But I think in the next couple of weeks, they're going to be randomly picking people from that pool to go and try out this service. And I think during that time frame, it'll be available for them to test up until like mid or ending of January. So maybe about a good 2 months, which I think it is going to be awesome. I'm super curious about it. That's the thing. That's what I love is I love Twitch. I'm probably always going to stick with Twitch, but I love technology. I love advancements. I love seeing what something is going to grow to and being a part of it and see it grow from there. So, I had to send it to you because you use Google Chrome, right? You can use Chrome
I use Chrome
on Linux.
Yep. And using it right now. And the thing is sometimes certain codes and use of things do not get adopted later on the Linux platform. I think it took a while for us to even get native Netflix streaming on the actual browser. It took a while before it came to the Linux platform. But I'm all in. Like, just like you love Twitch and you're not going to go anywhere and that's going to be your first love, I think that's how I feel about Linux when it comes to using open source stuff. So I'm excited, and hopefully it's the same code that they're going to release for individuals who use Mac or Windows for the Linux users, so I don't have any challenges running it once they pick individuals, or maybe do like an open beta kind of thing. But right now they're hand selecting, as you mentioned, individuals to participate on that.
Yeah, and I think what their aim is to have even less latency or delay than Mixer has. And I have to say, if that is so, I got to experience my friends streaming on Mixer, and their delay is almost next to nothing. I feel like I'm having a direct, almost one-to-one conversation with the streamer on Mixer,
Yep.
which that blows my mind. That 100% blows my mind. Even though that Twitch has tried to do that, there's still a delay and it's still noticeable. Facebook isn't even quite there yet. Facebook has like anywhere between like 30 seconds to like a minute or two delay in between this interaction. But Google trying to reduce that even more. So I just want to read through this really, really, really quickly. The idea of streaming such graphically rich content that requires near instant interaction between the game controller and the graphics of the screen poses a number of challenges. And consumers are comfortable with a few seconds of buffering at the start, but streaming high quality game requires latency measures in milliseconds with no graphic degradation. I can't read.
Degradation.
I can't speak.
It's all right. I'm with you. I know what you're saying, though. I know what you're saying.
So I'm just like, I want to know what this looks like.
Yeah.
I know that like there's a lot of players trying to enter into this streaming field, and I love this because now you have Google that's coming up with their thing, their Project Stream. You have Valve that's also trying to create their own streaming platform that's not within their Steam app. So I want to try all the things. I want to see what's out there. I love that there's going to be options and variety compared to like the 3 that are available now.
Yeah.
Because you're giving everybody, you know, these possibilities. I mean, there's even smaller companies that are still trying to, which is they're still trying to get their names out there, like Caffeine. Caffeine is a streaming service that Fox, I think a couple months ago, maybe a month or two ago, has invested like $100 million into their streaming platform. So wow. You have even studios that have nothing to do with streaming investing into these gaming platforms because they see that there's a market there, and Twitch currently rules that market, but you know, they're not going to have this monopoly on it forever. They're not going to have that grip on it forever. And earlier this year, you've already seen, you know, many partners, many streamers start branching out into the other ones to see what's offered to them. So when you have 2 more streaming platforms, possibly 3 coming out, that's awesome.
Yeah. I think Twitch at this point is like the LL Cool J of things. Even if they decide to pivot to anything else, you're still going to recognize the OG as a legend, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's all good. It's all good. So Project Stream, speaking of picture degrading, I was in the settings of my TV and I realized that there's a setting that automatically changes the picture based on the lighting, and I didn't even know that existed for my TV. So I was messing around with that. I was like, that's neat. I took off the gaming mode and it looks totally different. Like it doesn't, I don't know. I don't know if it looks better or worse, but I just feel like a difference in the immersion of me looking at the screen without the gaming mode versus with the gaming mode, which is strange. But just wanted to throw that out there. That's what's going on with that. We got 2 more things before we wrap, unless Daniela has something else that she really, really want to discuss before we begin wrapping up episode 472 of the show. If you're listening for the first time, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. theshowradio.info/listen is where you can find your favorite podcatcher and subscribe to the show. Harry Potter open world game Danielle, I want to hear your thoughts on that. I don't really have thoughts on it. I know you are in that world to some degree, so talk to me about that.
Well, I just want to say hi to Soul, even though Nightbot was like super mean for putting one too many O's. Yo, what's up? Try has a question. Try says, I have a gaming question. I'm curious for you two to answer. What? I know gaming will change, but what games from the last 5 years will people still be playing in 10 plus? For example, do you feel confident about Fortnite 5 and Destiny 7?
Daniela.
No, I'm gonna say no to the Fortnite thing. Okay. I see Fortnite possibly lasting, I don't know about 10 years. But I can see Fortnite doing pretty well for at least 2 more. Yeah. And then before it starts sizzling out for something else. Which still, even if it's going to be still going for 2 more years, that's still really good for any game. In the last 5 years. Grand Theft Auto, because somehow people can't let go of that game. Grand Theft Auto, no matter what, is 100%, because even Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, 4 or 5 years ago already?
Feels that way.
And people are still loving the content and everything that it does. So they can be a Grand Theft Auto 6 or 7, and that will still last. And if they have that online portion and that whole modding and the whole community and the private servers that everybody can still do with 5, then yeah, that will definitely last at 10 plus years. I don't know. You can answer on the Destiny front of things. So it can be a Destiny 7.
Okay, so I look at it. This is an interesting question, and thank you so much for the question. And if you guys don't have any more questions after try, then we're going to begin wrapping up. But I definitely want to hear some additional questions if you have some. Okay, so I look at this stuff now as it relates to the product, not so much the game experience, right? I know they both matter, and sometimes they're interchangeable, but I look at stuff like the Battle Royale product, right? Some companies did it well, and some companies did not. And the fact that some did it well stayed, right? We're still playing it. And some are planning to do it better according to their anticipation with the Blackout stuff. They believe it's going to be a better product, the Battle Royale product, than the current product that everybody knows and loves as it relates to Fortnite. So I look at that, right? Because the other product that's making a resurgence into the scene now is the Game Plus product, where companies now are coming back and giving you this game. You thought that was easy. Well, try this Games Plus, right? Product. So you have that for Tomb Raider. You have that for God of War. I wouldn't be surprised whether it was announced or not for Spider-Man, and any single player game where the Game Plus product is going to sell well, companies will continue to do that. So in terms of esports games, very beautiful games like Overwatch or Paladins, if that continues to do well in that particular scene, you'll continue seeing games like that. But as it relates to ongoing game, that particular product, a lot of companies are going to learn lessons from the Borderlands, the Destinies, the Divisions, and those companies are going to fine-tune their product and be the first new iteration of that particular product. And if that does well, then other companies are going to take the lessons from that, and then it's going to go on and on and on. So to answer the question simply, Destinies are going to remain, but they have a new thing that they're calling Project Matter, or just Matter, which was a picture that was released maybe a couple of days ago from the Bungie team. And what that's going to be, we don't know yet, but maybe it's a new iteration of all the lessons learned between the Halo and the Destinies, and watching the Divisions and creating what Destiny is right now and what that next product is going to be. Maybe Bungie is going to be first in the next product thing that we're going to see a whole bunch of iterations of, right? Whether it's the Battle Royale, the Auto Royale, the Royale that came out with from Cliff Blazinski's team that didn't do well. I think there was a bicycle in there somewhere or something like that. So you have those particular things. So I'm looking at it that way. So the Battlefield will, if it doesn't turn into an ongoing product, playlists are great, but if we don't have an RPG element to it now, some of those games are not going to do so well in the next couple of years. If Call of Duty did not do the Battle Royale product while it was still somewhat plateauing, some say declining, then I don't know. Maybe we would not necessarily see an iteration of Call of Duty next year. Maybe they would have to take a break to regroup. Now, we saw Assassin's Creed. They released a game. I don't even know what the new game is about. People are talking about that. They're doing okay. But at some point, Call of Duty had to break into 3 different studios to create a product that the market needed because they had to fine tune even with their teams. So I look at it in terms of what is the product right now. Right now, it's ongoing games. Right now, it's FGC, which is still big, right? You're still seeing a lot of stuff coming out of that. So you have that. And you also have the Overwatches and the Paladins and those that are doing great. So I look at it like that. So everybody's going to have their favorite. Everybody's going to have their thing. And that's where I'm at with it.
Actually, I want to kind of modify my answer because I was just thinking about playability. I wasn't thinking about the esports side of it, those things, which you're kind of true. I mean, even though the whole battle royale scene is somewhat kind of like declining, I mean, it's still hyped up. People still love it. It still has a huge audience. I think in that standpoint, as long as the support on the esports side of it is going to be there, then it's gonna last for a really long time itself. And I don't know how much I feel about that. I do feel at some point there is going to be a game that comes out that takes over the popularity of Fortnite. And for me, I hope that is something that doesn't require building, but offers different class bases. I would love that for me personally. But yeah, if a game has the support for the esports community, it's gonna last. It's gonna last a while, even if it is a smaller title. Because I often forget, as much as I love Gears, I often forget that there is an esports scene for Gears. It's small, but it's there, and people still play it religiously, and that's like the only game that they play. Now, if it's going to be something that's super popular, I don't think anything's going to be lasting. Like, I still going to say that it's going to be Grand Theft Auto. If you want to stick with a game that is super popular, that has a really big audience that's consistent, then I would stick with Rockstar's Grand Theft Auto for that.
Word.
That's where I'm going to go with.
No, that's good.
But that was a great question. That was like a deep question.
No, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. And we didn't really go into the VR scene. We didn't really go into the handheld stuff. But there's a lot there on the table. So VR is being looked at again, to make adjustments for what people actually want. We have niche pockets where we want to be by ourselves, but companies are making adjustments to cater to yourself as well as other individuals. And you see even Bungie making changes with Gambit for the esports, because that's an esports mode, right? That is what it is. And I think that once you recognize that stadium filling thing is going to be the next thing for your particular company because you didn't have that yet, then it's very telling just by looking at the scene right now. So no, that was good stuff, Daniela. Good stuff.
Okay. Now to go back to your question. Harry Potter, an open world game.
Word.
Man, I do love me some Harry Potter, and if this happens to be this open world MMO game that's possibly been leaked, I can't get myself too excited for it, honestly.
Okay. That's fair.
Because the last time I did that was when Pottermore, the website, came out, and I seriously thought that that's kind of what it was going to be, and it turned out to not be like this. Pottermore is a website that just kind of gives you a little bit more depth and into detail into the world of Harry Potter, and that's kind of it.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a bad thing, but it wasn't, I guess, what I thought it was going to be, where you get picked into your house and it's more interactive. It was nothing like that, and I want that whole open world MMO experience when it comes to that, to be able to dive into it and be put into a house and go through and have these dungeons and raids that follow along somewhat to the story and the lore, but have something that's new. But I think it's just more of J.K. Rowling not really having this tight grip on it, but like where like how do you implement this world that you created and have it stay true to what your fans are expecting and wanting it to be. But yeah, supposedly this was leaked, and Warner Brothers was very quick to like remove any content that had to do with it. And I don't know. I don't want to be too excited for it.
Too early?
I want it. Yeah. I think it's too early. I don't know. I want it. I don't say. I demand to be put in my house Slytherin. I know I don't want to be in that house. I want to be in Ravenclaw, but no matter what, I'm a Slytherin, and I'm gonna have to own up to it. Well, I want to be in Ravenclaw because they're blue, and I don't really like green.
So it's still early. Still early. It's definitely. I mean, I saw some of the movies. That's about it as it relates to that. We kind of touched on briefly the Nintendo thing, but I definitely want to hear your thoughts on that, and then we'll expand if we need to as it relates to Nintendo will launch an updated version of the Switch in 2019. That is the report that is coming from Wall Street Journal. So I know that that's on your radar to pick up one. Is there going to be a delay for you to pick it up now if this comes out to be something that is actually happening? So I definitely want to hear your thoughts on that.
I don't know, because that's what I was thinking about. Like, do I hold out for this possibility of this new one, or do I get the Hey You Pikachu Eevee one that I want now? Which sadly, this is really weird because I know I was like, this is why I'm going to get this. This is the one I want. I've been really kind of hesitant on jumping the gun, and it was before even that announcement. I want it. I really, really do. But I'm thinking just before I hit, like, I have it added to my cart, ready to check out. Like, this is $400. Like, oh, this is so hard. This is so hard.
So
to
what do you
decide
think?
on.
What do you think the holdup is for you right now, though?
It's $400 there. Like,
Got
for
it.
if it's not like it's just chump change. Like, it's not like I have $400 just laying around just to lay around there, you know?
True.
It's a commitment of like, I'm gonna make my money's worth out of this. I'm gonna make it happen. $400. I will have to accept that this is gonna be my Christmas present to us. That's it.
Word.
Even though, like, I think it comes out the November 16th is when the Nintendo Switch for Pikachu and Eevee come out, which is the one I want.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you, because we haven't talked about it in a long time. I know you've been getting gear about stuff like that as it relates to mic setups and different things, and you're getting into that world more and more, being mobile and stuff like that as it relates to events. So TwitchCon is when?
The 26th. I leave on the 24th. Let's see. Yep. So TwitchCon starts on October 26th, ends on the 28th. I will be in San Jose starting from the 24th. I have my stuff ready.
Word.
I am excited.
Word. I'm excited for you because along with TwitchCon right around the corner, you're about to get something dope from a dope company, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more once you receive it. I'm excited for that because, yeah, I think you're going to be really hyped. So that's just me.
Yeah, and I'm going to be able to use it on my flight.
Word.
And like, I feel like that is like almost a really good test. I mean, being mobile, moving around, working out, that's going to be a really good test. But if I can be able to watch and listen to stuff and not have to hear the humming and the buzzing of an airplane, that's like perfect.
Yeah, that's going to be dope. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts on that and all that good stuff that's going to come out of that. And I think that wraps 472. Guys, I appreciate you, all of you, for listening and hanging out. I definitely want to say that the tracks that you're going to hear in this particular episode and most of our episodes right now, definitely give love to DJ Cutman. He does a wonderful job, and he has great tracks and music and chiptune stuff. And that's all I have right now. Stay awesome. Daniela, close us out.
Well, just before I end that, anybody's going to be at TwitchCon, let me know. Hit me up on Twitter or use hashtag TSRPod. I will be there. I would love to meet and hang out and see all your faces.
Word.
It'll just be me. One is the loneliest number.
One is the lonely number.
Might as well start. That's the way we started it. This is how we're ending it. We're not a lonely number for the two of us. But thank you guys for joining us. So thanks for tuning in to our podcast. You can find the show radio on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you haven't yet, head over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcatcher and subscribe, rate, and review our show. For our show notes, donation options, visit theshowradio.info. So thanks for tuning in and see you on the next one. Bye.